We're joined by Diana Furmann from Assiom Forex as she gives her views on the euro-US dollar, as well as a look at equities and bonds. Well, Diana, thank you very much for joining us. Let's start with your midterm views on the euro-US dollar pair. What are you seeing there?
Hi, Jack. Well, right at the beginning, I tell you that I believe that US and US assets will keep running well in the midterm period. When I do analysis, I try to mix both fundamental analysis and quantitative analysis. And I think it's very important, as nowadays technology has become so important that more and more traders and their bosses are preferring data management and analytics over the fundamental analysis skills. And we should not forget that the markets are nowadays driven by algo trading. Maybe you have already experience with this or not, but I mean, I would just divide it into two parts, like my view. So according to fundamental analysis, I can tell, we all know that in the world we are experiencing an acceleration of the global growth. But it is very important to know the drivers behind the growth in Europe and America, as we want to talk about euro and dollar. So, and the drivers of the growth are different in the US and in Europe. In the US, it is a policy-induced growth acceleration, while in Europe, so-called financial healing process were introduced to accelerate the growth, which is not that effective. So in the US, fiscal stimulus was mega boosting the effects on consumption of rising household income, and also corporate investment was also super boosted. By contrast, Europe was and is still not able to capitalize on the growth pickup. Then we should not forget that the tensions in Europe, there are growing concerns about Italy. Then further, Angela Merkel confirms her intention not to stand for re-election, and French President Emmanuel Macron faces headwinds in implementing his domestic reform agenda. Then there are other things like Italy and the European Commission are busy with budgetary issues. Then if we want to add what should weaken as well the euro, in addition, we all know that the ECB plans to end its asset purchase program at the end of the year. On the contrary, we all know that the US Central Bank is determined to maintain a relatively aggressive rate of rate hikes, as its balance sheet is already gradually shrinking. So the policy gap with the Fed, I don't see that it will narrow much. So if you would like to go to the markets, we already could see in 2018 the dollar to outperform, US to outperform the euro, or US dollar to outperform the euro in the markets as well. I mean, since the start of 2018, the yield on the dollar on the 10-year US Treasury bond has risen to 3.21%, while the yield on the German 10-year bond has remained essentially unchanged at around 0.4%. So the current differential is really, really huge, 280 basis points, and the same is valid also for the 2-year bonds. Then we also could see S&P to outperform the DAX, the German DAX, by 14 percentage points, and at the same time, this is already happening. And at the same time, the dollar has strengthened by almost 5% as measured by the dollar index. So this is all what already happened, and according to fundamental analysis like why that also supports the weakening of the euro. According to my quantitative analysis, I believe that in the midterm period, the dollar will continue to strengthen against the euro. I see euro dollar going towards 112, 108. So I continue to be short euro dollar, and I would definitely advise a strategy with a bearish bias. The reasoning behind has nothing to do with the ECB or the Fed that I was discussing in fundamental analysis, because according to my quantitative analysis, these two are relatively small. So, I mean, we can look at the chart. I prepared a chart that shows how artificial intelligence, the red line, drives the dollar index, and currently suggests a continuation of the trend. So, I mean, it's done processing from various markets, some with a direct link with the dollar, others not so direct, and then some artificial intelligence is applied to create a flexible model for the forecast.
So what are the current global views on equities and bonds, and why?
As I told already, like both my views are for dollar and the US to perform well in the midterm. So the same for me goes also. I also strongly believe that in the midterm period, the US equity is a buy opportunity. The same is valid also for the dollar bonds. But also, I mean, if we want to see something positive in Europe as well, but also Italian BTP is sort of buying, so should perform well in the midterm period. And I also recommend buy on emerging markets. Again, these views are also based mostly on quantitative analysis.
Well, a big thank you to Diana, and thank you for watching. If you like this interview and would like to find out more, be sure to head over to dukascopy.tv.